Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand call-in show. It is 67 days until Christmas and we are rocking the Christmas jumpers. I'm absolutely loving them. These are absolutely fire, I can't lie. I mean, we're going back to the good old days and you can get yours in the Shopify link. Get them down below because I'm going to be rocking these all the way up to Christmas. It's feeling a bit Christmassy already, even though we're not even to Halloween yet. You need to get them while stocks last.
For me, it's Christmassy when you start seeing the Christmas lights. I think that's when you really start feeling Christmassy.
Well, maybe if you get these on, you'll get yourself into the Christmas spirit. So make sure you go and shop yours. Yes. It is the call-in show, everyone. The call-in show is back. This is for you to have your opinion and your say. And, well, we have a lot of news coming out this afternoon, Faz, that we can get into with all of our lovely callers. Make sure you hit the link in the description as well to join the Discord and call in and have your say. But starting off, Faz, there's this news coming out that Sir Jim is going to have a board with David Brailsford and Joel Glazer still overseeing the footballing decisions. Is the wool being pulled over our eyes a little bit, and are the Glazers actually going to still be in charge? Because I think with 25%, surely they are still going to have some involvement.
Yes, 100%. 100%. If you haven't understood the club that you support, I don't have anything to say to you because 25% is doing nothing. I'll be honest. In which club is 25% going to allow you to have majority say in sporting decisions? And what are these sporting decisions as well? What exactly is it? One source says it's the stadium. One source says it's the DOF that he's going to change. One says it's going to be players coming in. I'll be honest, I don't think he's going to have any say, to be fair, over the Glazers because Joel and Avram have a sentimental connection to Manchester United. They both like Richard Arnold and John Murtough, who, in my opinion, are puppets for the Glazers. And I don't think they're going to allow Sir Jim Ratcliffe to bring someone in that's going to sway votes his way. So
I am definitely taking on board your opinion there. And I've told everyone when I saw the Sir Jim news, my heart sunk. Like that, and I've talked about it on the show, but this is your show, the callers are here. Mason's here to talk about why Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to help this club and why the club won't get more than 7 million. I think that's supposed to say billion. But before he joins, I just want to read out the actual statement from the Financial Times. So you have the information, and it is saying here that proposed Jim Ratcliffe Ineos deal for stake in Manchester United would see Dave Brailsford and Joel Glazer sitting on committee overseeing footballing matters, having sway over the footballing decisions, though controlling the committee was Ratcliffe's price for investing. Having sway is very much different than having full control. Yes. And this is why I say, little by little, the more the foot goes into the door, I think hopes and expectations should start to drop, because that's what I sense with that deal. But Mason, we have you on the line with us. Do you want to have your say over this Sir Jim Ratcliffe 25% deal? Is Mason there with us?
Yeah, I'm there.
Mason, welcome to the call-in show. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe, 25% stake. I've got on my notes here that you think that he's going to help the club. Can you indicate to us why you think that?
Well, I think he's going to be better than what the Glazers have done. But he has got a lot to do. There's a lot to do with this thing, and it's going to be quite a hard job for him personally, but I think he's going to be a little bit of an improvement, but I still would have preferred Qatar over them personally. I still think Qatar would be a lot more better. I think they would do the stadium quickly. They would do stuff like that. They have the money and stuff like that. You see what City have done. But I just don't think, perceptually, I think definitely anything will be improvement over the Glazers, but again, it's only 25%, So
what do you think about the fact that it's coming out that Joel Glazer is still going to be on the board making footballing decisions, even though we were told that Sir Jim was going to have say over footballing decisions? Is that disappointing to you?
Absolutely. You look at how many bad decisions they've made over the years and how many, poor decisions they've made, transfers they've made, the stadium, everything. The decision has been awful. They've made this club poor, we're more of a laughing stock club now, basically, than what we were before. And that's down to the decision making, what the Glazers have done.
Mason, could I ask you, what would be your first, as a fan of Manchester United, what would be your first step for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to do? What would you want him to do first? As soon as he comes in, he's got his 25%, he's on the board. What's the first action you would like him to take?
Well, personally, I think we need. I know people will say the stadium, but I think we've got to sort the medical. The amount of
Interesting.
injuries we've had is absolutely ridiculous. You got Martinez, who's now out again. You got Martial's always injured. You had Eric Bailey before he was always injured. You've got Casemiro's injured. Amrabat's injured. The amount of injuries we've got, and it's coming from the medical staff, that needs sorting out completely. You know, we need to sort the injuries out, because the fact that these players are getting injured and still playing while they're injured is absolutely terrible.
Mason, I massively agree with you in there. They actually have had news come in that Casemiro has remained in Brazil on the club's advice to recover as swiftly as possible from a small issue picked up while playing for his country, and he will not be available for the Sheffield United game on Saturday. But also, some bit of good news is it's breaking that Sergio Reguilon and Sofiane Amrabat did train with Manchester United squad today, which suggests they would both be fit. But Mason, thank you so much for calling up and having your say. Really do appreciate it. I mean, it's very interesting. I think I don't think I've heard one person yet say they are completely happy with this Jim thing, which
I've
I
heard
can
many
completely
fans.
understand.
I've actually kept my ear to the streets and spoke to many fans. I speak to fans on Discord. Make sure you join the Discord community as well. I sometimes pop in on the call-ins to speak to the fans vocally. But there are fans who are somewhat happy about this deal, and I'll tell you why. They're happy because, first, at least 25% of the club is going to go to someone other than the Glazers. So it's like, over the course of the years, maybe that's something to look forward to, that another 25% could be gone from them, and so on and so forth. It's like at least you've won 25% of the battle. That's what some people feel like. And a lot of people feel somewhat upset with Sheikh Jassim. I'll be very honest. I've spoken to a lot of fans, a lot of educated, logical fans who've told me that they feel like Sheikh Jassim should have put where his money, where his mouth is, and he knows the situation the club is in, he knows how the Glazers are, and he should have put a bid that just blows everything out the water. But he is a businessman at the end of the day, right? But make sure as well, everyone, please comment down below, because I actually want to know, after the show, I will read the chat back. What would you like Sir Jim Ratcliffe to do first? What's the first action you would like Sir Jim Ratcliffe to do? That's very important to understand. Go on.
Well, we can ask our callers that as well. Robert McCormack with a super chat saying he isn't putting in 1.3 billion hoping to have a say. What we're getting told from the Financial Times is that he will have a sway. We'll have to see what happens after this board meeting, but I would not be surprised that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has just took what he can just to get his foot in the door and have access to this club that can make him a lot of money in the future. It's a business deal at the end of the day. I don't care what anyone says. I don't personally think he's switched on and thought, I'm going to spend 1.3 billion just so I control footballing matters at Manchester United. He's woken up and he thought, this is a very, very, very good business opportunity for me to make a lot of money. That's my personal opinion on what's happened. When you talk about Sheikh Jassim and fans being disappointed, I get it because he does have the money to do it. But just because somebody's got the money, why should they massively overpay? He's a businessman. And we'll have to see if this 10 billion figure that the Glazers think they're going to get for the club in a few years will ring true. And if so, Sheikh Jassim made the wrong decision. If it doesn't, Sheikh Jassim made the right decision in business terms. But let's get our callers in. By the way, if you want to have your say on anything, make sure you get super chats in because they'll be read out straight away and we can bring them into the conversation. So we've got Rock on the line for us. Rock, I want to start off by your opinions on Sir Jim. Do you think this is just a lot of false promises, or do you think that he's going to be a partial owner, that he's going to be able to deliver success for Manchester United?
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
we can hear you.
Oh, yes, mate. How are you, man?
We're alive, we can't complain. Thank you very much.
Rock, I didn't know if you just heard me then, but I was just asking, with Sir Jim, your opinions on him coming in with 25%. Do you think it is false promises that are being put out there, or do you think he will be a successful part owner of Manchester United?
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, there's a lot of false promises with him. Like, I feel like the way he's changed his offer from 100%, 75% now to 25% is a warning sign anyway. And also, you got to realise the Glazers, they're notoriously hard to deal with, man. They would want the best deal possible for them. Like, I just don't think Sir Jim is going to get everything that he says he's going to get. And I feel like you got to think about it as well. This 3-year scheme of the Sir Jim's going to take over, I don't believe in that at all. When you look at the Premier League and its growth and the blackout games starting to be televised, I think in 2025, this is something the Glazers want to be a part of to get that revenue. So I feel like the Glazers are going to stay in for another 5-10 years, and whatever Sir Jim is saying now, I don't believe is true. And to be honest, he could be another Glazer, because when the Glazers might sell, he might sell his share as well, and he might make a hefty profit. So he to me, he's another one of them.
It's a
He's the
great way of
enemy.
looking at it. That is a great way of looking at it, that he might make a hefty profit as well.
Well, this is what I was just saying. Sir Jim has gone into this to make money, because Man United is a money-making machine. I think people are getting their hopes up, and you've got to have some sort of hope, because if not, there's nothing to be hopeful for. But the difference between what would have happened with the full takeover compared to this is just absolutely night and day. But I want to bring to you, Rock, just to get in the conversation, Jadon Sancho. There's been some news coming out that Borussia Dortmund are ready to offer Jadon Sancho an escape route for Manchester United in January if the financial parameters are right. A short-term loan until the end of the season is most likely, although Dortmund would still need Man United to pay part of Sancho's 300k a week wage, and that is coming in from the ESPN. So what are your thoughts on Man United paying Jadon Sancho to play for somebody else? Someone that we actually paid, well, not somebody, a club that we paid 73 million for him. And what are your opinions on that situation as a whole?
I think the situation just shows the direction of the club, the hierarchy, the way the directors have handled their business. This is a player, a marquee signing at the time, meant to be the future of the club, and this is the position we're in. I feel like we have to do what's best for the squad. And right now, every week, there's always something about player issues. This is something we've got to eradicate. If that means we have to pay his wages, that's fine. Get him out this, let him go to Dortmund for the time being, so the squad can get focused. We should have done the same with Harry Maguire. We should have paid off the 16 million or 10 million he wanted, and bring in a new centre back. So I've been saying there's a lot of player toxicity, and we need to eradicate as much of it as we can. I hope there's an obligation to buy at the end of that loan deal, though.
Yeah, that is something you'd want to be put in there. What price do you think would be fair to get for Sancho?
I mean,
Fair is a big question.
If we could recoup half of it, I feel like that's the best we can do. There's no way they're gonna pay that much. Although saying that, the one thing that could drive up the price a little bit is that they know they can bring out the best of him, so we might have a bargaining tool there. But if Sancho goes, I hope people remember the name Amad Diallo, man, because I feel like he could step up if he gets given the opportunity. He's a class player. He's a young player who wants to be the star man of a team, and we saw it at Sunderland in the most challenging league physically, and he's a skinny player. So I feel like he could step up really well this season if he gets given the chance.
Yeah, I actually agree. It's just a shame with Ahmad's injury, and also if the manager is going to trust Amad Diallo to be able to play for Manchester United at this level. But I like that he mentioned a great point, is where the direction of the club is. We're still dealing with issues that Ed Woodward has left us in. 350 grand for a contract for Jadon Sancho has absolutely gone upside down, and Manchester United will be suffering from this huge financial loss.
I do think the good thing about this, and Rock, thank you so much for calling in, some really great points there. I do think the Sancho, I think if Ten Hag stays as manager, which I hope he does, and we continue under his direction, hopefully we can get in a good sporting director and change things around on the footballing side. I think Sancho will be the last of them players that comes in on an absolutely humongous wage that you are basically pinning hopes onto. I don't think we'll do that again. We've seen Ten Hag, a lot of the big wage players have actually left the football club under his tenure, and he seems to be going for players with the hungry attitude to play for Manchester United, which is always a massive plus. Obviously Casemiro came in, but he is, he had the history behind him to back it up. He had the titles, he had the Champions League medals. So I think we are heading in this direction with Erik Ten Hag, and I think that's a positive. But what a shame for Jadon Sancho. I think it's a little bit embarrassing, actually, making that move and going out in this fashion just to end up back in the Bundesliga. I think he had the talent to make it, but unfortunately the mentality wasn't there. I'd get rid of him now, 30, 40 million, just get him off the wage books. I think he's what my priority would be.
Yeah, but look, I've taken the manager's side with this situation, but I'll be honest, Erik ten Hag has also got to pick and choose his battles now.
Yeah.
He's had an issue with Cristiano Ronaldo, which left a bitter taste with some of the fan base and obviously the club. He's now had an issue with Jadon Sancho, whether it's Jadon's fault or whatever it is. But I was never under the impression that Erik ten Hag is the type of manager to go out publicly and say something about his player. Because he goes out in the public and says things about how his midfield is not a problem when the whole fan base knows.
What he said about Sancho, there wasn't really, it wasn't
Sure.
anything.
No,
it
but
wasn't
sure.
anything. He just asked, why is he not here? And he just said, because he's not trained well enough. That isn't,
I mean,
I don't think that's
in
right.
his opinion, then Harry Maguire's clearly training well enough. But I'm going to look at both sides. You know me,
Is,
I
though.
always
he
look at
probably
both
is
sides.
training well enough. Harry Maguire, despite the fact people don't think he's good enough, I don't think you've ever heard anything come out of him negatively towards the club.
I was just surprised because he's never done it in Ajax, he's never done it in Utrecht. I've researched, I can't find anything about him saying anything about a player publicly.
Well, we've had Rob Dawson on the show and other great journalists that have said Erik ten Hag was literally at the end of his fuse.
Yeah,
He
sure.
tried everything. He tried
Sure.
taking him out the team. He tried sending him to the Netherlands. He tried the soft approach. He tried everything. He couldn't get anything out of him. So
Yeah, I've always been under the impression that this is bigger than just between Erik ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. That's what I think.
I don't think you would individualise a player
Yeah.
for no reason, especially when he tried so hard with him over
But
the course
listen,
of the season.
Jadon Sancho is very, very much should be held accountable because whatever's happened has happened. He could just simply apologise and use that situation where there's no winger. Anthony's had a situation where he's not available. Ahmad is not available. He should have used that opportunity, apologised and shown us what he could have done, and he didn't. So that, at the end comes down to him.
Yeah, he's not. Darren Mulaney with a super chat. Could Jim be an advisor to the Glazers on players? And I would ask him to get Ineos to clear the debt. Obviously, he's had experience managing other sports sides. I mean, you can have an opinion whether it's been successful or not. In my opinion, if you just purely looking at Nice, now the second in the league, but since he's took over, there's again been a history of false promises and under-delivering. Obviously, he's not the sole person that's going to be coming in making these decisions. He's going to have getting people in place. Paul Mitchell, obviously Dave Brailsford is another one.
Don't
He's
really fancy
been
Paul
looking to
Mitchell
get
a
in.
lot.
We'll get into that. But we've got the next caller on the line, Hamza. We will talk about multiple different things, but we want to start off, we might as well start off with the Paul Mitchell conversation because it is a conversation that a lot of fans are having. Hamza, a lot of fans excited about the idea of having Paul Mitchell come into the football club as a sporting director. When you look at Paul Mitchell, is that the right figure that Man United should be going for? Are fans getting overexcited because of how poor the current staff that we have are in? Is Paul Mitchell of the calibre that should be at Manchester United looking at his history?
Hi everybody, it's nice to be back on this incredible channel.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the guys we need to have in the club. That's 100%. But people think he's gonna be a messiah or something. Like he's not gonna come in and is gonna solve Manchester United's all issues in the club within like a year or two. People are getting on their hype horse or something if Paul Mitchell is going to come in, because I don't see him doing anything extra with the team apart from like removing the Deadwood, getting in the players that we need. That's his job, but he's not going to accomplish the job without having the right structure behind him. Like imagine having a structure with the Glazers in. Like it's pathetic. You're never going to win anything with the Glazers. If you get Paul Mitchell in, if you get Ralph Ragnick in, that's never going to happen. 100%. Like, listen, answering the question, he's going to be 100% one of the figures we need at the club. That's Manchester United. We need all the top tiers in every department in the club. But in terms of having owners who don't who don't care about the club, who only care about their money, debt, whatever.
Can I ask you a question, Hamza? Can I ask you a question quickly? I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but you say, Paul Mitchell, top tier, MK Dons, Southampton, Spurs, the Red Bull Group, and Monaco. Would you say that's top tier clubs in there? That he's worked
in
at?
terms of top tier clubs, I don't think that top tier clubs, but I think he's done magnificent jobs in recruiting. Like, let's not forget, he got Son, he got Germany, he got one of the best players in the world right now. Like, let's be perfectly honest here. But my point is that whoever you're gonna get, that's never gonna work with the Glazers in, because people have to understand, even the people who are pro Sir Jim, I get your opinion. My dad's pro Sir Jim. I'm fighting him. It's just a weird conversation to have with my dad, because my dad is like, he was like, he likes the Qataris, but he's pro Sir Jim because he thinks Sir Jim's gonna like restructure the football club better than Qatar. However, the other argument is that with all the money that you have, you can restructure the football club, you can restructure everything in the club, and you can basically, you're gonna be a Man City. But it's just like, people don't get it. Like Sir Jim, even if he gets like the Paul Mitchells, that's never gonna happen. We're not gonna have the funds. We're not gonna have the funds.
The thing is,
People, like,
I'll tell you something, Hamza. There's two perspectives I want to bring. One, why I like Paul Mitchell, and one I don't. I always like to look at things in a balance. One of the things that's most important to understand is Paul may have recommended players in the clubs that he was in, but it doesn't mean they are his signings. One, it means that the players was just signed whilst he was at the club. It could have been a manager signing. It could have been a Paul signing. We will never know. We don't know. But the fact that he doesn't have to work in big organizations to say that he is a really good DOF is because you look at his track record of signings, he's able to make transactions happen before the player blows up. Sadio Mane, Heung-min Son, Alderweireld, Nkunku, all of these players he's brought in, Dele Alli, all of these players he's brought in well early, whether it's the managers or not. The reason why I don't actually like him is because why would they sack him if he's doing so good in his last job?
He left, didn't he, Monaco?
Well, mutual agreement. But on the other, and now he's obviously in Manchester because expecting that he's going to get a job. But the other thing as well is he is going to be better than the people we have in charge, Murto and Arnold, 100%. There's no doubt about it. Because
I'm not being funny. My mum could walk into Manchester United and do a better
because
job.
there's that experience he brings in. But this is where the problem is. Let's say Sir Jim Ratcliffe recommends him as a DOF. How much say will he have to get someone sacked? Someone has to leave for Paul Mitchell to come in. And who's going to be that person?
That was going to be my point, because he's not going to get given the keys, let's be honest. Is he going to be given the full power to do anything? It's the same as Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag has recommended how many players to get into the club? Like a couple. He changed his plans last summer to, what it's like? It's like Mercedes in the Formula One.
Do you know what it is?
Hamilton wanted a different car. And Toto Wolff is like, no, our engineers is good. We're going to get our own because we won the last couple of years and we trust our engineers. And here they are sat behind the Ferraris and McLarens and the Red Bulls. It's the same thing. Erik ten Hag is working with two hands behind his back.
Sure.
Paul Mitchell is not gonna like come in and like he's gonna be given the full power. Listen, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in, it's like we're gonna be given full power. That's a different conversation to be had. However, we don't
think that's going to be the case anyways. Everybody's aware that he's not. But Beth, go on.
I was just going to say, it's like being given a brand new Lamborghini but being told you can only drive it 10 miles an hour. You're just never going to win the race.
Yeah.
But Hamza, look, thank you so much for calling in some great points as per usual. Really love having you on the show. So thanks, Hamza.
I love this community.
Yeah,
Thank you. Say one last thing.
Go on.
Sure.
Can I just want to I've heard a lot of people like talking about the fans and the unity of stuff. Listen, what happened about Sheikh Jassim, we're all to blame. But like the thing is, we need the fans to be united. Like I don't care whoever platform supports the fans.
Great point.
Whoever supports the fans, whoever, which fan base or whoever, I don't care. We just need unity. We all want the same goal. We all want the Man United to win. We all want the Glazers out. We need to achieve this target. And we're not going to achieve it without the unity of the fans. So I highly recommend for the fans, whoever your favorites, whoever you want to be the leader of the community, I don't care. I just want the fans to step up to the plate and
Thank you,
get
Hamza.
our goals.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Hamza.
Great message to end with.
The door is always open at the United Stand. We're willing to work with anyone for that goal. But thank you, Hamza, for that. I mean, Mario Franco, Rangnick has hinted a lot about this dressing room malaise. So why wouldn't Ten Hag teach Sancho a lesson then. I thought Erik ten Hag did the right thing. Yeah, a lot of people backing Erik ten Hag over this. You are always going to get, players
of
saying.
course.
People can have different opinions. That's the world we live in. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see other people's opinions on Sancho. In fact, we actually do have Mas on the line waiting to talk about Ten Hag's management of Sancho. Really interesting topic, because I like to hear both sides, because I can't get my head around why you would support Sancho.
Yeah.
But let's get Mas's opinion on. Mas, are you with us?
Hello, Bessie, all right?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. You said that you wanted to speak about Ten Hag's management of Sancho. Are you in agreement with the way he's handled this?
No, I did have. I do follow Dutch football a lot. I did have concerns before he came to United about his man management. And, for example, he dealt with a Ajax young player called Noah Lang, who was really talented. I actually think Ten Hag finds it very difficult to deal with. I feel like big personalities. I think like Ronaldo, another one. I just think I think he's. You know what it is with Ten Hag? Like tactically, he's good. Like as a coach, he's good. But I think to be Manchester United manager, I think you need to have some charisma. I think he's a bit robotic. I think he lacks certain aspects, in my opinion.
Wow,
I think Sancho again. Yeah.
It's really interesting that you brought up the Noah Lang, because I remember reading about this before Ten Hag actually came to Manchester United, and I don't know why, but it's just completely slipped my mind. And he was a very, very talented player that got frozen out. With Erik ten Hag, the characters he's bringing in, do you think he's bringing in characters that he knows because he knows that then he has a better chance of dealing with these characters then? For the likes of Anthony, he pushed so hard for him, probably because he knows he can control him better than other players.
Definitely, yeah. And I think what's interesting is I saw a report or like a stat where basically Klopp and Pep signed, like while they've been at City and Liverpool, they've never signed players that they've managed at previous clubs. So that I found that very interesting. Whereas Ten Hag, like exactly like you said, Beth, like he keeps bringing in players that he's already worked with because he already trusts them. But again, that I think that does kind of like give you an insight about how he finds it difficult to like manage or coach players that are like, he's not coached previously. Like I think he likes players that are like, for example, Mason Mount. Mason Mount's never gonna be like, he's not a big personality, for example. I don't think he's hard to manage. But I think certain characters, like Sancho, Ronaldo, like I said, Noah Lang. I think they're big characters. They've got different personalities. They need, little, like they do need some extra, care, in managing them.
Do you know what? It's a really interesting point that you've actually brought up, because even though I'm completely behind Ten Hag the way he's handled Sancho, you have actually made me think about that. Even like with the likes of Onana, it's someone who he knows previously, bringing him into the fold. I mean, Travel Bug TV here says having 25% of anything doesn't give you control. Just to kind of switch the narrative here, what are your overall thoughts? Because we can't have a caller and ask him about this with how prominent it is. What are your overall thoughts on Sir Jim 25%? And actually, we have it in here. This is a bit of news I wanted to bring in to the show. Hold on a second, it's coming. From Mike Keegan saying that the Sir Jim Ratcliffe deal to take 25% stake in Manchester United may not be completed in time for the opening of the January transfer window. So, for one, what are your opinions on the deal and the time that it's going to take to go through?
I mean, number one, it's like if it helps us, if it's a step closer to eventually getting rid of Glazers, I think that's always going to be a positive. But again, obviously, like my first choice would have been Qatar because that's a full sale, Glazers out. But I mean, with Sir Jim, it's hard to judge now because we're gonna have to see what happens once he comes in. And also the second point, again, it's just the Glazers, penny pinching once again. They're gonna delay it after January, because they don't want to spend anything in the January market, and it's really sad, really. Like what they've done to the club, like literally every time penny pinching. All this, people talk about United side like spending big money, but we only spend big when we're panicking. Like there's never really any big like plan or anything. So it's just it's sad, really.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you as well. Now that the situation's occurred with Jadon Sancho, and listen, let's be honest, as much as we love our manager, we're going to be biased towards him, but managers get a lot of things wrong. How do you think this affects the team in general, zooming out from everything? Do you think players will be more fearful of Erik ten Hag, and now it's a way of establishing authority over the team? Do you think it's going to have a positive impact in that sense?
Honestly, I think the fact that Sancho's being so stubborn about it and not apologising tells me I think there's quite a few other players in that locker room who are not fans of Ten Hag. Because I think if
Interesting.
majority of the squad Ten Hag in, I think it would have made sense. Chanto would have dropped his pride. He would have apologized because he would have felt like left out. But I think from what I see, Sancho spent time with other I think I've seen a picture of him and Casemiro. I think he's got a good relationship with the other players in the locker room. But I think the fact that he's standing on what he's done and not apologizing tells me there's a lot of players in that changing room who are not really big fans of Ten Hag. And I think from pre-season you could kind of tell something was not right.
What?
Like last season, fantastic. But I think from pre-season, it's just like sides here or there, something wasn't right. And I think, you know what, with Sancho as well, I've never been a big fan of Sancho. Even at Dortmund, I think he was very overrated. I think he lacked that, I think he lacked that burst of pace. He had a great final ball always, but at the Bundesliga, I think the defending's not as good, obviously, as the Premier League. And I think with Sancho, he lacked that, I think he lacked a yard of pace, and he wasn't strong, he wasn't physical. So I think, in the Premier League, I think he would have, I wasn't surprised that he was struggling. But pre-season, he was our best player. At the first match of the season, he doesn't start. I just feel like Sancho's been messed around by Ten Hag. Yeah.
I want to ask you, obviously you make that point about Sancho not apologising, maybe because other players agree with him and he thinks if he didn't, maybe he'd apologise. What I would come back on you with is, it's been in the news that a lot of Sancho's friends within Manchester United have told him to apologise to Ten Hag, and Sancho has had behavioural issues at Dortmund, in the England camp, at City. Surely this is not all of a coincidence now. And Ten Hag also apparently did everything he could to help Sancho, and he just kind of reached the end of his fuse with it. So what would you say back to that?
Yeah, no. I think the players will encourage Sancho to apologise, because I think it'll relieve pressure. Because I think Sancho, for example, with Højlund, for example, I think that would be Sancho's got a great final ball, so Højlund will benefit from that. And I think the players in the squad, I think they want Sancho in the team, I think, because they know he's got a lot of ability. Obviously, he can help them. And in terms of what was the second point? Sorry, Beth.
Just the track record of behavioural issues.
Yeah. I mean, Sancho, we know he hasn't got a perfect, record of great behaviour or whatever. But I think honestly, in the summer he was working hard, because I think pre-season he looked in great shape. He looked sharp.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I think people massively over-egged the pudding with Sancho in pre-season. He looked all right. Didn't look anything special. Did he look anything special in pre-season, or is that just me?
Pre-season.
He's been here for 3 years, and I can't really remember a standout performance.
Yeah, every pre-season players are like this.
I think people wanted him to be so much like the Dortmund Sancho. People over-egged it a little bit in pre-season.
Honestly, at fourth down position, I think honestly, start of the season we didn't even have a striker. I think he was our best player pre-season. Listen, I'm not a fan of Sancho. Honestly, best 11. Do I think he has a future as United as a starter? No. I'm not a fan. Honestly, pre-season, that fourth down position, I thought he was playing really well, honestly. And I think start of the season, there was no striker. Martial obviously was injured, I think. He doesn't playing centre forward anyway. So I think, I think he should have started the first couple of matches.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
People thought Sancho played well as a false nine. I think he did okay. But let's be really honest with ourselves. He was never going to start as a false nine in the Premier League. He's just not good enough as a false nine. And then you look at that's where he's playing well. And it's like Andres Pereira played well in pre-season. Does that mean he should start for Man United? It's one of them, isn't it? You've got to show it in the 3 years you've been here in the Premier League.
Yeah, but there was the point of pre-season. I think pre-season's he was the best player for us in pre-season. I just think first game of the season, if he didn't deliver, then fair enough, put him to the bench, But I think starting Rashford up front, when Rashford is not even happy about starting up front, I just think it didn't make sense. If I said, I agree with you, but he might well not be good enough, to play false nine. I think he earned a start first match of the season. Pre-season, I think he was good there. I think we didn't have a striker. We didn't even have a striker anyway. I think there was certain, which I think made him deserve to start as a false nine. And I think if he didn't deliver, take him off. He can't complain if he doesn't play the next match.
To be fair, Mas, I can agree with you on the sense of with how poor Rashford was playing as centre forward, you could have at least give Sancho an opportunity there. And I do think, despite the fact I think Sancho has behaved in the wrong way, I do think he could have been given more opportunity by Erik ten Hag. I do agree with you on that point. But thank you so much for calling in. As you say, I love it when you have a bit of back and forth. And make sure you call in again on a different show. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mas. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Fast. Take care, guys. Have a nice day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Yeah.
you too. I mean,
You know, with
go on
Jadon
now.
Sancho's, I can feel for him from a player's perspective, that he feels that every preseason I'm being used and I'm having good moments, but the gaffer is not trusting me enough to have the same in the game. But he has a level of patience with some other players that he doesn't have with me, and it's been ongoing. Don't forget, in preseason as well, we're not playing with us actual starting 11 because many players weren't signed yet. So we've not had that in a couple pre-seasons. We never start pre-season with our full starting 11, unlike some other clubs. So he may feel, well, whilst you don't have certain players in the club that you're looking at buying, I'm giving you certain good moments and I'm having good minutes. Please have that trust and faith in me, and you're not having that. Don't forget as well, this could have been a situation that's brewing from a long time before, because when Erik ten Hag signed for Manchester United, he would have sat down with each of the players and said, I see this future with you in this club. I either do or I don't. Reason why he let Eric Bailly go, Telles, whatever. You know, some players have ended up staying. Jadon Sancho might end up feeling like the manager has made promises that he can't deliver now, because he's got players that he has more patience with. And
I agree with you, but I also think we know the talent Jadon Sancho has.
Sure.
He has been given games, prove it.
sure.
He's not been good enough
But
on the pitch.
I'll tell you one thing, I 100% agree with you that the fan base overhype it when he scores, because I hate to do it and I hate to be so straight up, but he's only good in the final third. In and around the box. Outside of that, there's nothing in his game I see as a positive. Nothing.
I think with Sancho, it's such a shame when he leaves. Even though I think he should leave, I will be disappointed that it didn't work out, because when he signed, I thought he was going to be brilliant, and I thought we were going to get that player that we saw at Dortmund. And at Dortmund, he was brilliant. I think the talent's there. It's just, I don't think he'll play for Man United again. I really don't.
Listen, you have to, for this team, for this manager, there's a certain type of way you have to play football, which is aggressive, which is high energy level and extreme intensity.
You need more than just talent.
And you need more than just talent. The reason why you see Garnacho, playing with so much intensity, Erik ten Hag publicly saying how good he is over 90 minutes plus more, but Jadon Sancho doesn't do that. I'll be deadly honest, and Jadon Sancho fanboys will probably hate me for this, but he is only good in and around the box. Outside, in the second phase of play, in the midfield, in the middle zones of the park, he's not good enough at all, because he's not good 1v1. He's not good when it comes off the ball, trying to make sure he's available. He's not good when he's got the ball, because he's not physical enough. He doesn't win the ball quick enough. He's not fast enough. There's so much.
Ducks out of challenges all the time.
It's just so much.
Well, anyway, Mario Franco says Andres Pereira is our best pre-season player too. Lol. Keelan Robinson says Glazers looking for 350 million pay TV plus ad deals like with WWE. Got a few more super chats coming in as well. Make sure you get them in, guys. If you want whatever topic you want to bring into the show, make sure you get your super chats in and we'll bring them in as quickly as possible. And Cendric says, any comment on this Sport Bible hit piece against Mark on Facebook? We've seen all the Paul Parker stuff and stuff to do with Mark. Mark spoke about that himself. People should watch and then have their own opinions, but that's the way things are. Straight up lies are never very nice to listen to, but anyway, Mark's spoken about that already. And El Nasser says, this wholesale process has felt like being taken to the Lambo garage to walk away with directions for the Fiat dealerships. Hey, don't diss Fiat 500. Anyway, but...
I have a funny thing that I researched I wanted to bring up. So, Sir Jim Ratcliffe actually doesn't run OGC Nice. It's actually Bob Ratcliffe.
Well, he has Sir Jim Ratcliffe has people, he brings people into these projects.
Funny enough, I did a lot of research on the Ineos group and their sporting things that they run, and the Swiss team and then the French team. And it's Bob Ratcliffe who does the overshadowing of everything. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is just basically the money person. But it's interesting how Ineos' structure around football is going and finding players that they can sell on. That's all their structure's been. They set it out when they bought the Swiss club and it didn't work out. Now they want to leave it, or I don't know if they've left it, but it seems like they want to leave it. They then went and identified clubs in Spain and England that they couldn't buy because of the price, so they brought OGC Nice. And now their structure, Ineos' sporting structure, is finding players from the likes of West Africa and all of those areas to try and sell on. And Bob Ratcliffe said it to a Swiss news outlet.
That won't be what they'll plan to do at Manchester United.
But the thing is, Sir Jim Ratcliffe doesn't have direct experience of running a football club. He doesn't. It's Bob Ratcliffe who does.
No, it's true. I'm very worried about this deal, to be honest with you. I don't think much is going to change, to be honest. I think it's money in the Glazers' pockets and a bit of investment. I don't think much is going to change, but prove me wrong. I'd love to see it. Anyway, I want to bring in a point that Mark has actually just WhatsApped me with our next caller. Noah is coming in to talk about Casemiro, and we will bring the ownership in a little bit with that as well. So, Noah, I mean, you said that we have to drop Casemiro. I find this very interesting because I actually tweeted out about topics for the call-in show. And one of them was, I put Casemiro's awful stats. And I had so many people replying to me saying, Beth, is Casemiro now your agenda? Casemiro awful stats, he's our top scorer. And I came back and I said, no, I love Casemiro. For me, he was probably one player of the season, if not one of the players of the season last year. I was so happy with him last season. But I wouldn't be doing my job properly if I ignored the fact he has massively dropped off this season. And Noah, I will let you have your say, but Sky Sports put out a very interesting stat and they compared Casemiro to other number 6s per 90 minutes in the Premier League. And on the list he was compared to Basuma, Caicedo, Rodri, Rice, McAllister, who isn't even a 6 in my opinion. And Casemiro had the worst stats out of dribbled past, possession lost, duels lost, passes and pass accuracy. Every single stat, he had the worst one out of all them players. There has been a drop-off from last season. And just explain to me why you think he should be dropped.
Yeah, I think the thing with Casemiro is nobody can doubt last season he was a tough tackler, he was a battler, and he's one of those players last season that can hold their head high. Some players, maybe not, even this season. I think Casemiro this season has dropped off a cliff, and even the last 2 months of last season, I think he looks sluggish, he looks lazy. He doesn't want to go into those tackles. He's sliding in a lot, almost like it's a way of getting out of challenges. And you look at it and you're like, is that the type of player we need in this team? And he plays a lot of hero ball like Bruno, trying to find that final ball to a winger, and it works 1 out of 10 times. And I think you can't play Casemiro and Bruno on the same team. And I think I'm choosing Bruno all day, every week. I think Amrabat in that Brentford game even, with Casemiro did obviously look, compared to Casemiro, he looked light years behind him. I think Amrabat on the ball, he does so much for us. I think he can make us a more attacking team like we want to. I think Amrabat holds the ball well. I think Amrabat finds the right passes. I think Amrabat can put in a tackle. And I think Casemiro this season isn't that player. And I don't care how many trophies he's won. I don't care how well he played last season. I'm basing his form off this season, and he's not at it. He's not at the races.
Interesting points. I want to ask you one thing. So originally, Erik ten Hag had looked at buying Frankie de Jong to play that position, didn't work out, and bought Casemiro. Do you think that's, a drastic change in direction of the football that Erik ten Hag was going to play? Because Frankie de Jong can do so many things on and off the ball that Casemiro can't. Whereas Casemiro is almost like a surgeon. He's extremely specialist at his defensive duties, but when it comes to progressing, carrying the ball forward, X, Y, and Z, there's actually not much that he can add. And also, in addition to that, we don't have the midfielders to bring that on as well. So do you think the club made a wrong decision in buying Casemiro? Because, 80 million pounds we had paid, 70 million pounds we had paid for one season? That's not a good enough thing for any organisation, is it?
No, it's not at all, to be honest. And I think as good as Casemiro was for most of last season, he did dip in and out of form. And people can agree that it was a panic buy. We were not linked to Casemiro whatsoever because we were set on getting de Jong. And there was a reason why we were getting de Jong, because Ten Hag knew that this was the player to set in his style of play at Manchester United.
That's exactly
and respect
right,
to Casemiro. I love Casemiro as a player, as his career. I loved his career. But the thing is, he is not doing it right now, and he's not what Ten Hag needs. He needs a midfielder that's going to progress with the ball, that's comfortable with the ball, and can find a simple pass and not just try find a 40-yarder all the time. And I think that's why Erik ten Hag subbed him off at half time. It's been boiling over for a long time, and I think he's frustrated with Casemiro in a lot of degrees, because if he's not doing his tackling, what is he doing?
I mean, de Jong would have been a game-changing signing. For Erik ten Hag, game-changing. It didn't happen. I was very happy with Casemiro last season. I think he pointed last season, I was like, thank God we've got Casemiro. He worked out so well. But you have got to talk about the drop-off. I mean, if you look at these, I just want to read a couple of them out. So, dribbled past 2 times on average per game, whereas the best on that list is Basuma with 0.5.
Wow.
Possession lost, he's the worst as well, 13.6 times per game. Declan Rice, who's the best, 6.8 times per game. Then you look at duels lost, 6.8 per game. Caicedo, 3.8 per game. Passes is 59.6. Looking at Rodri, the 120.8. I mean, and pass accuracy, 83%, with Rodri at 85% on there. Declan Rice, 92%. Caicedo, 92%. Be very interesting. I'm going to go away and look at it, what Amrabat's would be. But Casemiro not available to play against Sheffield United, also can't play against Copenhagen because of the red card. Are you interested to see whether Amrabat can maybe take on this role and play it better than what Casemiro has this season so far?
I 100% think so. I think Amrabat is that type of player we've needed. I think people have looked at Amrabat, and I think Ten Hag wants Amrabat for that reason. And I think Casemiro being out could be a blessing in disguise. No disrespect to Casemiro, again, what he done last season, but we've moved on. I think Amrabat will get to be the centre of that midfield. He will control games. I don't care. Against Sheffield United, I know Sheffield United are getting relegated, but you will see a difference in how we control the midfield. I think we will see we're not going to give up sloppy possessions to let up counter-attacks, in my opinion, and I think a lot of that does start with Casemiro this season. And I think Amrabat is just, it's going to be, I think it's going to open a lot of people's eyes, to be honest. And I think I want to go back to the dribbles point and all that. If Casemiro's not doing the defensive part, what is he doing to warrant a start for the people that are saying he should start?
Well, what a lot of fans will say, he's scoring goals. What would you have to say to that? For me, I look at it as like, Casemiro scoring goals doesn't mean that someone else wouldn't have been if Casemiro wasn't in the team. Like Ricky says, the team would play better, because it's true. Yeah. Like McTominay scored 2 in the last game. But what would you say to, fans who say that Casemiro's the only one scoring goals?
But the thing is, your CDM, his job is to not score goals. He's a CDM. If you want to box to box, if you want to play Casemiro box to box, then start that argument. He's our CDM. You should not be scoring goals. That's not your role. People could have been in his position, yeah. But maybe if he wasn't starting games, could have gone different completely. If he wasn't in the starting 11, full stop. Things like that, people have to be considered. If buts and maybes, I don't do them. And I think, looking at it, Casemiro is a CDM. If he's scoring goals, that's fine. But he needs to be doing his primary job, which is stop us from leaking goals and controlling the midfield and winning the ball.
Well, it's like when people were criticising Trent for not being able to defend as a right-back, which is really important, but being able to get forward. I mean, it's a bit of a different situation, but at the end of the day, his job as a centre defensive midfielder is to protect that back four. And I actually admit that he hasn't had much help, and as a one-man job, it is tough. But there has been occasions where not tracking his runner, diving into challenges and just getting skipped past. And these things do need to be addressed. But, I mean, look, thank you so much for calling up. Really do appreciate what you had to say. Really good conversation there. Keel Robinson says Eric Ten Hag is a bootleg. Thanks. Kevin Keevan. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I mean, I don't agree. And Keel Robinson also says stats are bad because Eric Ten Hag's tactics, not the players. People can blame whatever they want. It's there in black and white.
Yeah, but I will say this though. Look, I want to cut Casemiro a bit of slack. Is because the club still haven't gone out and brought a midfielder that is going to do the jobs that Casemiro can't do or excel in. And now that they have, it's almost like drop Casemiro then. Well, it shouldn't be the case. You've paid 70 million big ones for a player for, 2 seasons? Which organisation is doing that at the top level? You're buying players for the future.
Well, when Casemiro is back fit, there's always the argument that you can play Casemiro and Amrabat together.
And then that means Bruno Fernandes on the right.
I personally have said, no matter whether Casemiro is injured or not, I'd be going into the next game with Amrabat, Bruno and Mount as my midfield. People crucify me for it, but I think we will see it.
I'm going to look at it as a whole perspective, and I'm going to be deadly straight up. The way he's shaped out this midfield and the roster is absolutely unbalanced. You have, a player like Casemiro, and you're supposed to be bringing in players to benefit him and get the best out of him for the next few years so he can play until 34, 33, whatever it is. But instead, we've got Amrabat that people think now he's going to bench him, and you've got Mason Mount.
Is it Eric Ten Hag's fault that Casemiro's form's fallen off a cliff, though? Really?
Well, yes and no, because yes, Casemiro's not the age, he's not a young player. But again, it's how he sets out the midfield. And then it's no, because it's just form, isn't it? A player can be going through a rut as well. It's just natural. Well, so it's a balance. But the midfield balance, for me, I just don't see any vision in it. I'll be deadly honest. With Amrabat, Mount, Bruno, Casemiro, Eriksen, I don't see any direction of balance.
I think there can definitely be a balance, but we've got to start picking the right players. And we've got to... I think Eric Ten Hag has to start making the calls.
But he's going to keep putting Bruno Fernandes on the right to keep playing the players.
He doesn't have to do that.
But he does it, though.
I think it's Sheffield United away, and of course Sheffield United aren't that great of a team, and they are relegation fodder, but they're still a Premier League team, and we'll see it progress the season. I think there's situations where you can play a balanced midfield three. There is definitely situations where you can do that. You've got Amrabat, you've got Kobe Mainoo coming back, who again is a midfielder that looks like he's got a lot of talent. You've got the likes of Mount, Bruno, Eriksen, there's a Hannibal. You've got a midfield three that you can put together that is balanced. I think we will see Amrabat, Mount, and Bruno in the midfield on Saturday.
Don't like it at all.
Well, you've not seen it play together yet, so you don't know.
Not them three, but I've seen Bruno and Mount together on the pitch.
Yeah, but what if he plays it differently tactically?
We'll have to wait.
We'll have to wait and see. But
Second half, I promise you, Bruno Fernandes is going to get shifted to the right.
Well, let's bring Jacob in, our next caller, and I wanted to bring in Mark's point on this one. Jacob, you wanted to talk about a little bit about Sir Jim, open to him coming in, but would have liked Qatar. Well, this is an interesting one that Mark's just sent into our group chat. Joel Glazer, the owner of the club, and he's going to be on the sporting committee. People acting like he can get voted down. He owns the club. Is this a problem, the fact that somebody who owns the club is going to be on this, and by owning the club, he owns the main majority of the club, his family do, the Glazer family, is going to be on the sporting committee. Can he really get voted down with Sir Jim only having 25%? We don't know the ins and outs of what's going to happen, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's difficult really because obviously with Sir Jim not only owning 25%, I'd say because like the Glazers will still have a massive grasp of power on the club for a long time now. It's like, but I think like I remember watching Mark the other day. He said about 2026, but like from what I know, it's not good really. I don't think he can get voted down. But
it's not possible because he'll always have the votes of the people who he's worked with already on the board.
Mm-hmm.
He's always going to be able to easily... But yeah, it's politics. It's politics. That's how boards work. When a certain person is up for a vote, they're going to look at the people that they've worked with for years and say, right, you've got my back because I've had yours before.
Yeah, I mean, Keel Robinson says, as I said, Beth, it's tactics. Erik ten Hag needs to get his tactics better, Keel. You are right on that sense. I mean, is there anything you want to add about Sir Jim and your feelings towards it at the moment?
Let me ask you this: what would you want? What would you want him to do? His first action in Manchester United?
Well, I'm very happy with him getting a new director in. That really needs to happen. Mainly though, I think we should move to our scouting. Really,
yeah,
that's crucial.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Our scouting, medical department, I mean, the recruitment, it's all issues that need to be addressed. Jacob, thank you very much for joining the call-in show. And yeah, have a lovely rest of your day. Yeah. I mean, interesting stuff coming through there. We've got Dan now wanting to speak about Eriksen. This should be interesting. Did you see Ricky saying he'd start McTominay, Hannibal and Eriksen as his midfield three on Saturday? McTominay,
Hannibal and Eriksen. That's why Ricky's not a football coach. No chance. And he says he can do a better job, Ricky.
I mean, Dan,
I don't
Dan
know how,
Dodger
Ricky, mate.
On the line. Dan, you wanted to talk a little bit about Eriksen. This is a question I wanted to bring in. Eriksen, on his last couple of cameos, has actually made quite a good impact, to be fair. I don't see him as a starter, but do you think the likes of Eriksen and McTominay, after being brought into the team and making that impact, should be knocking on the door for a start?
I definitely think Eriksen should be knocking because, I don't know if that's been said, but I think Bruno Fernandes would probably actually work as a number 8 much better than Eriksen would, and that way you don't have to move Bruno to the right wing and use Eriksen as a attacking midfielder, as what he always was. People always criticize Eriksen for his defensive mistakes, which is fair enough, but to be fair to him, he never really was a box-to-box centre midfielder. He was always attacking midfielder. So in my midfield, I would probably put Casemiro or Amrabat in CDM and put Bruno as number 8, a more box-to-box, I guess, and Eriksen would be as an attacking midfielder, more advanced.
Who would your ideal midfield 3 be then?
He just said.
He
said Casemiro or Amrabat as the DM, Bruno as the 8, and Eriksen as a 10.
Casemiro or Amrabat?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Who would you pick out of Casemiro and Amrabat?
Right now, maybe give a chance, more game time to Amrabat and CDM, since we haven't seen much of him in CDM. But I mean, ideally, if Casemiro gets back to his best, of course, I would pick Casemiro. But right now, especially against Sheffield United, a team that's probably gonna drop back, gonna park the bus, I think Eriksen would be good to break them down.
Let me ask you this then: how did he make the Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno work last season compared to now? Then, because it worked really well last season.
That it worked, not always. I'd say it
enough
worked
for us to get third.
But the Eriksen was like absent for like half of it, almost second half of the season. To be honest, I think in those games we mostly Eriksen didn't really do much defensively back then. I think he was criticized already in the last season that he was not doing defensively much, but we just did better in attack, I guess. With
I've got one more
both
question,
Bruno and
please, and I
Eriksen.
must ask this. Let me ask you this then, right?
Yeah.
And to everyone in the chat, should we have kept Fred and got rid of Eriksen instead?
No.
That's a good one, but
It's a good question, right? It's a good question.
I mean,
is not
I
happy
wanna-
with it yet.
I want to say I'd rather we would kept Fred but get rid of McTominay, even though everyone loving McTominay right now. But I still don't really rate him in the midfield as a CDM or box to box.
Well, I'll tell you why Eriksen isn't playing as a 10. I can tell you very simply.
Breaking
why.
news, Rafa Varane was in training, has resumed training with the group.
Well, that's good news.
Johnny Evans and Kubi was also there.
That is good news. But I'll tell you right now why Eriksen's not playing as a 10 and people want him to. And I'll tell you right now why he brought Mason Mount in as well. And it's because if you look at last season compared to this season, Erik ten Hag is actually trying to implement his style of play. It's not working, because this is what happens in a rebuild, and we're having bad results on the back of it and bad performances because it doesn't work straight away. But last season in the Premier League ranked for Manchester United, press sequences 8th, high turnovers 6th, possession won in the final third 5th, possession won in the middle third 8th, start distance 6th. This season in the Premier League, press sequences 2nd compared to 8th, high turnovers 1st compared to 6th, possessions won in the final third 1st compared to 5th, possessions won in the middle third 2nd compared to 8th, and start distance 1st compared to 6th. Erik ten Hag wants to play a high press style of football, winning the ball in the final third and being on the attack, high transition football. It's why he's brought Mason Mount. It's why he was trying to phase Eriksen out, because Eriksen can't press. He's not got the legs. This isn't working because the whole personnel can't do it. I also think this is why Casemiro is being more exposed this season, because he's trying to play that style of football. Unfortunately for Erik ten Hag, he doesn't have all of the right type of players all over the pitch, and I don't think he's implementing it as effectively as he needs to for it to work. But you can tell the difference. He came into the season wanting to actually implement a style of play. Last season, panic button was hit and he had to deal with what he had, and we did rely on our defence a lot, and like Ricky said, we won over 13 games last season just by 1 goal because of relying on our defence. Ten Hag wanted to change things this season and it's not worked so far. This is what a rebuild is. So that's why we're not going to see Eriksen playing at 10. He is going to keep persisting with Mason Mount. Eriksen is a good sub to use, but he wants people in that team and in that midfield that have legs, and that's why Eriksen won't play.
Firstly, that start, it's comparable to all the games we played last season compared to the small
the
sample.
start of this season, yeah.
Compared to just, so by the time it was game week.
No, it's they're comparing the 2 seasons together.
Right, but this season's with loads of games to play, so we'll see how it ends up.
No, but you can still tell there's a difference.
Yeah, it started off in the right way. We started the season with some of the players not being available as well, and the amount of injuries. So hoping all the players coming back and then comparing the stats together, it'll be interesting to see. But you can see that the direction is there.
And this is why, even though Ronaldo, I still think is an unbelievable player, and I'm so sad it ended the way it is, but Ten Hag wants a striker that can press. These are all things that come into the situation. I know people don't like it. This is why Onana was bought, to play, to find these players high up the pitch. It's not worked so far. Hopefully, eventually it will. But that's what I kind of want to bring into the call.
But he's got world-class players who can play counter-attacking football, and he's trying to play possession-based or transition football with them.
He's trying to press out the pitch, win the ball back, and then kind of counter-attack, basically high up the pitch. That's what he's trying to do. But it's not working so far. Dan, lastly, I want to kind of ask you, moving into the Sheffield United game, obviously you've seen Rashford get hooked. It's 62nd minute last game, starting to get substituted a little bit more. Plays for England and scores a really good goal. Would you like to see him back in the starting 11, Sheffield United away?
Honestly, I think yes. I think yes, because Sheffield United is that kind of a position which would be, hopefully we'll have a lot of chances. I mean, we should have a lot of chances against them, and Rashford maybe got his confidence back with that England goal, hopefully, and can kick on with Man United. Again, if that was 2 weeks before the international break, probably would play Garnacho instead of it, but that international break might have actually helped him and saved his spots. in my opinion.
Thank you, Dan, for calling up and
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
the conversation. Keel Robinson says Amrabat, CDM, Mount, Cam, centre mid, and Scott McTominay, Cam. Scott McTominay, Cam. Wow, interesting stuff. I mean, last caller in. We are running out of time, but I want to get the last caller in. Charles. Charles, are you with us?
Hello.
Hi, thank you for joining us. I mean, Faz, do you want to start this one off?
Charles, you've said your topic is overall team selection. Can you hear me, Charles?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, brilliant. Overall team selections. I've got a lot of bone to pick with Erik ten Hag about his team selection. But just quickly, run me through your best front three so I can have a picture of who would you pick compared to what Erik ten Hag is picking.
Just a quick question. Is Sancho in the lineup or no?
No. From the players that are available.
Okay, I would pick Anthony, Højlund, Garnacho.
You wouldn't pick Marcus Rashford?
Yeah, Rashford goes to the bench. He and Bruno on the bench for me.
Okay.
Easy. That's not even a question.
Why is this, Charles? Can you tell us your reasoning?
Because they've been rubbish for 11 games.
I like it.
But Rashford just scored a really nice goal for England.
And Bruno's cutting it up for Portugal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not Manchester United. They've been rubbish for 11 games. That's none of my business. I'm not even Portuguese or English.
Very straight up.
It's like when we used to play, Pogba played well for France.
Very straight. He played well for Man United as well.
Yeah, like
me and you have this disagreement on this.
Yeah, forever.
Pogba did play well for United.
He had good games, but he wasn't consistently well.
The whole team wasn't consistent.
And Bruno Fernandes isn't consistent either, because apparently he
literally
many games.
Bruno Fernandes has done more for Man United than Pogba did in his career.
Hoping Bruno Fernandes can. Well, funny enough, Bruno wasn't even in the starting 11 for the Euro that they won. Anyways,
we're coming a bit off tangent here.
Yeah. Anyways, it's always gonna be like this. But let me ask you this: you started with Højlund. A lot of people were hell bent on Anthony Martial last season, and for years they've been right. Anthony Martial FC. But it seems like Martial's been fizzled out of the starting 11. He's clearly fit. He can play. But why haven't you put Anthony Martial in the starting line, maybe on the left or even in the central position?
Well, it's mostly because of the formation I want to play. I want to go with a 4-3-3. If I put Martial, I would definitely do a 4-4-2.
Interesting.
That was just the difference.
If you're doing a 4-4-2, who's your midfield?
My midfield is going to be just packed full of Amrabat, Casemiro, McTominay, and yeah, that's it.
You got one more.
I need to put you in contact with our friend Rick the Red.
You got one more. You only said 3 players. So who's your 4th choice?
Anthony will play.
So no Bruno, no Mount.
Oh no, I don't like.
Wow.
Bruno doesn't play. He doesn't play. Mount doesn't play too.
Wow.
What's your issue with Mount?
I don't have an issue with Mount. It just doesn't get into my team.
So you think
I can't play everyone.
So you think McTominay is a better midfielder than Mason Mount?
For what I want, yes.
For what you want. This guy knows what he wants. I don't agree with you. You are hating on my two of my preferred players, but everyone has their own different opinion, and it'd be interesting to see how we would do with that lineup. Considering how poor Man United have been all season, I would say Ten Hag could try it, but I don't think he is going to try it. But Charles, prediction for the Sheffield United game before I let you go. Are United going to win that game?
I hope we do. I think we're going to win it by like 2-0.
2-0.
Okay,
we'll go with that. Faz, your prediction?
It has to be 3-0. Prediction or not, I couldn't give a heck anymore. We have to win by 3 goals and keep a clean sheet.
I don't think we have to win by 3 goals.
Yes, we do.
We have to win the game.
No, but we have to start winning games with big goal margins. Look at the goal difference. Come game week 15 or 16, I told you before, remember on the space, that I'll probably be a massive ETH critic and borderline ETH out if he doesn't fix our goal difference, because goal difference matters longer period of the season. Points is points, but don't forget last season as well, we were in a situation where goal difference was messing us up until we ended up getting the last few wins and Newcastle ended up having a bad time. But if this season he doesn't fix his goal difference with the players that he's bought, I've got massive concerns. And with a team like Sheffield as well. Sheffield are getting dispatched by every team. And stop this narrative about City couldn't do it. Well, if City couldn't do it, what did Newcastle do?
every game is different, and I do think Man United has to be winning.
Admin says 26-0.
Man United has to be winning that game. Look, Charles, it was the end of the show, but thank you so much for ringing up. Really different opinions. Make sure you ring up again, because I'd like to have more discussions with you about different topics. Really interesting opinions there. Thank you for joining us. People saying, Beth, what has Mount done to get your support? Apparently just be really good looking, because that's the only reason why I like him. That's what everyone says. It's not true. I think Mount is a good player.
So you don't think he's good looking?
Pardon? I don't have an opinion on that when it comes to football. I have an opinion on the way he plays, and I think he's a good player. I think there's a reason why a lot of managers like him.
For sure.
But
they must think he's good looking as well. They must think he's good looking.
Well, do you think he's good looking?
I think he's a good looking lad, yeah.
But anyway, if you want to be good looking, people, get yourself one of these jumpers.
I like that.
I promise you should get them while stocks last, because everybody has been messaging me saying how much they like them, and I just think they look super cool. Sometimes Christmas jumpers can be a little bit like, you know,
tacky.
You're only wearing them because your mum's bought it here, and it's not really your vibe. But this, I can wear it out and about.
And it feels really nice on the skin, I'll be honest. It doesn't actually irritate my skin. Sometimes,
and do you know what as well?
So I like
you could wear yours to our Christmas show.
Yes, sir.
In November, not in November, that's a bit early. Our Christmas show on December the 11th. Make sure you scan the QR code to go to the Christmas show, and also scan the QR code to join our Discord as well and be part of these call-in shows. Make sure you hit a like on the video if you enjoy the call-in shows. This is your show as a community. Faz, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
See you at the Christmas show in December the 11th. I probably will see you before then as well. I expect
you see me on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll see you on Saturday. I expect to see you all there with your Christmas jumpers on. Thank you for watching, everyone, and get your comments in down below. We'll see you on the next one.